Good evening. Thank you for joining me this Wednesday on 7 Edition. I'm Otto Othman, and these are tonight's top stories. Students from B40 to be given priority to enter fully residential schools. Bersatu will scrutinize applications from former UMNO members. And European Union diplomatic comms targeted by hackers. Students from the bottom 40 or B40 income earners will be given priority to enter fully residential schools SBP. Starting next year, the Education Ministry said 60% of the overall placement for SBP will be reserved for applicants from this income group. In a statement, the ministry said the offer to enroll in Form 1 in the SBP will take into account several factors. They include the fully residential school that is applied for, the SBP enrollment capacity, gender and applicants' locality. The ministry has received almost 77,500 applications for the SBP 2019 intake, out of which 21,841 had been identified to have met the basic conditions. The basic requirement include being a Malaysian, securing the minimum achievement in the UPSR examination, having sat and achieved at least 65% of tolerancy level in the Ujian Kemasukan Sekolah Berasrama Penuh test, and scoring merit in physical activity, sports and co-curriculum, as well as in psychometric. The Education Ministry has abolished middle and final year examinations for years 1, 2 and 3 pupils effective next year. Its Director General, Dato' Dr. Amin Senin, said this is to allow teachers to focus on character building instead of exam preparation.
Patutnya tumpuan kita ialah kepada pembangunan sahsia, the character building of the student. Dan ini mengukuhkan lagi apa yang kita telah buat. Malahan beliau memberikan peneguhan lagi, sepatutnya nilai-nilai murni juga diberikan penekanan yang besar. Sebab itu dia bercakap soal happiness, soal mutual respect, dan juga satu lagi love, kasih sayang yang diberikan penekanan. So ini memberikan satu gerakan yang cukup baik kepada kita di kementerian, bahawa di sekolah rendah itu tumpuan kita ialah untuk memberikan tumpuan kepada character building dari segi pembelajaran, lebih kepada the fun learning, the meaningful learning, tidak terikat kepada peperiksaan.
Under the new direction, students will be continuously assessed throughout their early 3 schooling years, using different instruments such as quizzes and simple projects. Parents and teachers are also encouraged to constantly engage with each other to discuss the child's progress and to carry out interventions if necessary. Former Prime Minister's wife, Datin Sri Rosmah Mansor, today maintained her not guilty plea to 17 counts of money laundering and failing to declare her income involving over 7 million ringgit to the Inland Revenue Board. The case came up for mention for the first time in the High Court before Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan today, after it was transferred from the Sessions Court. Datin Sri Rosmah nodded to all the charges that were read out by the court interpreter. At one juncture, after reading out the 14th charge, the interpreter mistakenly informed the court that Datin Sri Rosmah pleaded guilty, giving her and those present a shock. The interpreter, however, was quick to realize the mistake and apologized before informing the court that the accused claimed trial. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC is reported to be launching operations and raids at any time to investigate allegations of money politics involving UMNO President Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. The investigation is expected to involve the party's entire operations, particularly in Sabah, after the anti-graft agency received complaints regarding the case last Friday. Speaking to Berita Harian, MACC's Deputy Chief Commissioner of Operations, Datuk Sri Azam Baki, confirmed that its Sabah chapter has been ordered to start an investigation based on the lodged report. The investigation was aimed at money politics in Sabah during the July UMNO polls, which saw Datuk Sri Zahid win the post of president, defeating former UMNO Youth Chief Khairi Jamaluddin and Gua Musang MP Tengku Razali Hamzah. The entire UMNO division in Sabah had reportedly supported Datuk Sri Zahid in the election. Based on the report, there was a sum of money amounting to 150,000 ringgit that was given to UMNO Sabah during the party elections that allegedly involved Datuk Sri Zahid. A probe is being carried out under Section 17 of the MACC Act for giving or receiving gratification by agent. A Thai national housewife was arrested by the Malaysian Customs Department for possessing 2.2 kilograms of methamphetamine valued at 121,000 ringgit. She was detained at the Bukit Kayu Hitam Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security Complex in Kedah on December 16th after the baggage scanning machine at the pedestrian passageway detected a dubious image in her luggage. Upon inspection, custom officers discovered 2 packages of drugs wrapped in duct tape. Further investigation found that it was the suspect's first time entering Malaysia, and authorities are not ruling out the possibility that she could have been set up as a drug mule by a syndicate. Investigations are also underway to determine the source of the drugs and their final destination. The suspect, a mother of 3, is currently in remand for 11 days starting December 17th. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act, which provides the death penalty upon conviction. Meanwhile, a Tabong Haji senior management officer with the title Dato has been remanded for 4 days to assist in a graft allegation involving a house renovation worth 400,000 ringgit. The 48-year-old Dato was detained by the graft busters last night while giving his statement at the MACC headquarters. Last Sunday, the MACC had detained another Tabong Haji senior officer with the title Dato, who was remanded for 5 days starting Monday. Another arrest was made on Monday involving a 34-year-old project manager to assist in the probe over the same case and had been remanded for 3 days. Still at the courthouse, the Klang Magistrates Court has extended the remand order for 4 suspects detained over the murder of a transgender woman in Klang by another 5 days. The suspects, aged between 16 and 21, appeared at the courthouse at 8:55 this morning. They were arrested on December 14th following the brutal murder of the 32-year-old trans woman in Bukit Tinggi, Klang. The post-mortem report showed she suffered a fractured skull and bleeding in the brain and had 32 groups of injuries inflicted upon her. Her cause of death was due to severe head injuries caused by a blunt object. Police are investigating the case under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. Meanwhile, cosmetics entrepreneur Nur Sajad was fined 2,700 ringgit by the Sessions Court for 3 charges under the Goods and Services Tax Act. Judge Rofia Muhammad meted out the fine after the 33-year-old pleaded guilty to all the charges. Nur Sajad was charged with failing to furnish her goods and services tax returns to the Malaysian Customs Director General within the stipulated time. The offences were committed at the Royal Customs Department complex in Kelana Jaya, Petaling Jaya between October 22, 2015 and June 16, 2016. Nur Sajad, who paid the fine, claimed she was not aware of the GST then. 838 boxes of various liquor brands estimated to be worth more than 100,000 ringgit were seized in Ops Landai yesterday evening near Batu Mawa, Batu Lima in Sandakan, Sabah. A team of officers and members of the Marine Police Force came into contact with a man who was opening a store's iron fence, suspected to be the storage of smuggled liquor. Upon realizing the authorities' presence, the suspect took off and has since been at large. All seized items were taken to the Sandakan Marine Police Force Operations Headquarters for further action. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act. In the meantime, Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia Bersatu would only welcome those free from any wrongdoings and those who were not ardent supporters of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak. These were some of the conditions set by Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who described joining Bersatu would not be a walk in the park for former UMNO members, especially parliamentary members, MPs and leaders. Their applications would be scrutinized and their behavior observed before any decision can be made for them to join the party. At an interview with selected media organizations at his office earlier, the Prime Minister explained that while Bersatu does not want to give the impression to other Pakatan Harapan members that UMNO is taking over the party, it is also important to understand that in the last general election, quite a lot of Malays supported UMNO, and it is those Malays that must be brought out to support Bersatu to eventually make PH strong.
You cannot condemn all the members of UMNO because of the mistakes made by the leader. Some are committed, some are not committed. These people, they are followers. Leaders, we are not keen to do. But the followers, some of them have followed because they did not participate in formulating the policies of the party or even leading.
On the perception that accepting former UMNO MPs is part of a PH strategy to get a two-thirds majority in Parliament, the Prime Minister said he personally did not like a two-thirds majority government. At the same time admitting that although he would prefer a strong opposition, the reality is that there is none that is credible at the moment as the opposition is in tatters. In other news, the Election Commission EC has announced that a by-election will be held for the Cameron Highlands parliamentary seat on January 26, 2019. Nomination will be held on January 12 and early voting on January 22nd. At a press conference at the EC headquarters in Putrajaya earlier today, the EC chairman said that for the first time in history, the vote counting process at the Cameron Highlands by-election will be webcasted live through the EC's social media platform.
Tempoh berkempen yang ditetapkan adalah 14 hari bermula pada hari penamaan calon sehingga pukul 11.59 malam 25 Januari 2019. Bagi urusan permohonan undi pos luar negara dan dalam negara, tarikh buka dan tarikh tutup permohonan adalah seperti berikut. Tarikh buka ialah pada 19 Disember 2018 hari ini. Tarikh tutup ialah 11 Januari 2019.
Last month, the election court revoked Barisan Nasional's victory in the May 9th general election after it found that money was used during the campaign to buy votes, which led to the victory of Datuk C. Sivaraj. DAP candidate M. Mano Garan submitted a petition last June that claimed Datuk Sivaraj violated the 1954 Election Offences Act when he bribed the Orang Asli community during the 14th general election. When we return, a screaming corpse. The details next. Thank you for staying with us. Still on local news, the majority of those who have lost their jobs in the past year were working clerical jobs in factories or doing machine operations. According to the social security organization SOCSO, this was mainly due to the gradual move in automation, slowly taking over roles once dominated by humans. SOCSO's chief executive, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azman Aziz, said, based on employment insurance scheme records, the manufacturing and construction industries have recorded the highest number of job losses this year. It shows that as of December 14th, SOCSO received over 33,000 claim applications by more than 22,000 workers who had lost their jobs. Whereas in the banking industry, he said, many are considering implementing financial technology or fintech. Most banks are encouraging their customers to do their transactions online instead of using checks or queuing at counters. He added that 27,418 of the 33,726 insurance claim applications received by SOCSO were approved. This includes applications for first, second and third payments for members who were jobless for 3 consecutive months. The Interim Payment Assistance Scheme under SOCSO's employment insurance system allows a monthly cash allowance of 600 ringgit for a maximum of 3 months. Human Resources Minister M. Kulasegran recently said more than 21,000 people had lost their jobs this year, half of whom were in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia and Indonesia will work together to prevent the migration of dogs through the Indonesian border that is said to be potentially exposed to the rabies virus. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Lee Boon Chye admitted that the ministry, through the Sarawak Health Department, is facing difficulty in controlling the entry of dogs and would need the cooperation of Indonesia to prevent and control the rabies outbreak along the border between Sarawak and West Kalimantan.
Ya, sempatan tu lebih kepada sempatan untuk anjing, binatang, bukan human. Ini bukan human. Jadi yang inilah kawalan sempadan ada kita menghadapi sedikit kesukaran memang daripada kawalan anjing yang keluar yang masuk melalui sempadan Indonesia. Jadi memang ada kerjasama di antara Jabatan Kesihatan di Sarawak dengan pihak berkenaan di Indonesia untuk kerjasama bersama untuk kontrol. Sebab masalah rabies ini bukan setakat untuk Sarawak tetapi masalah juga di Indonesia.
Yesterday, an Indonesian woman died from the rabies outbreak in Kuching, Sarawak, after she was bitten by his newly adopted pet dog of 3 months. The case, however, was not included in the Malaysian case statistics as the 69-year-old woman was reported to have been bitten in Indonesia. Now it's time for our daily segment, Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Now, you might want to think twice about ordering takeouts after hearing this story. Now, recently, a netizen was horrified when he found a dead baby rodent in his soy sauce chicken, a dish he regularly bought from a small stall nearby his neighborhood. Azmi Ali shared his experience on a Facebook post, which has since attracted more than 6,000 shares. Here's what happened. As he arrived home to savor his meal, he scooped out the soy sauce chicken he bought onto his plate and came across something that looked like a chicken's gizzard, which luckily he decided to eat later. After a while, without being suspicious, he turned onto the piece of gizzard and realized that it was actually a dead baby rat. Shocking, he gagged out whatever he has eaten in disgust. Nevertheless, the poor guy did not throw out the rat as he repacked it instead so that he could bring it back to the shop where he purchased the food. Having said that, Azmi insisted that his post was not to criticize the shop but to create awareness, which is why he did not mention the name. A video recently shared on Facebook, which garnered over 18,000 views, has sent shivers down the spines of netizens who came across it. A boy who had died from a spleen rupture was reported to have come back from the dead when he was heard screaming seconds before burial. The boy had been declared dead and was seen laying rigid in the casket before this happened. The horrifying incident occurred in Ambon, Maluku, and the footage was uploaded by user Leopold Hatu earlier this week. After the screams, residents quickly lifted the coffin from the tomb and took the child away from the cemetery. He was indeed alive. Unfortunately, the boy was reported to have survived only 2 hours before he died again. This time, he was safely buried. Now updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top 20 topics and searches on the internet today. MIDF research expects Malaysia's gross domestic product (GDP) growth to slightly improve to 4.9% in 2019 from 4.8% projected for 2018. Its chief economist, Dr. Kamaruddin Muhammad Noor, said this is mainly driven by health domestic spending fueled by the service sector, coupled with the rebound anticipated in the agriculture and mining sectors.
Our unemployment rate is still very low at 3.3%, so we expect the trends to continue up until 2019. The second one is in terms of the wage growth. We have seen a wage growth ranking 6 to 7% as far as manufacturing sector is concerned. So when you have a stable labour market, when you have a good wage growth, that means they fuel up the domestic spending.
He added that clarity in domestic policy direction observed through the mid-term review of the 11th Malaysia Plan and 2019 budget would also lend support to the domestic sector. Nevertheless, he said growth would be influenced by various external factors such as trajectories of global trade, threats of protectionism, geopolitical risks and volatility of commodities prices.